Welcome into a live episode of Matchday 3 in Euro 2024, covering the last permutations and what teams are playing for as we are trying to settle down from or slim down from 24 teams to 16 in the knockout stage of this year to the 2024 European Football Championship. I'm your host, _G Warner. You can find me on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube, all at _G Warner. And I would really appreciate 5-star reviews in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and subscriptions on YouTube. Plus, I'll be cutting an ultimate best bet end of this program to then put on reels and shorts if you want to consume this in a 1-minute version. We are 30 minutes out from the start of the final match day in Deutschland in Germany. And we have the Germans playing the Swiss. We have Hungary playing Scotland. And I'll be going through best bets for each of the matches and then come out with an ultimate best bet end of program. We are a little tight on time. I meant to start this earlier, but here we are. So let's get right into it and the scenarios. So I'll start with lines and I'll try to get an idea of kind of what teams are playing for, what they're looking for, et cetera, et cetera. So Germany have 6 points. They've already moved through, but they can lose the group if Switzerland beat them. So that tells me that the Germans are going to be as aggressive in this matchup as you would expect, especially playing at home. They really, it's a big deal for the Germans to look good as well as get results. I've not been impressed by the Germans so far. I mean, they smoked Scotland and got off to a great start there. You'd argue that was a Scotland thing more than a Germany thing, though I guess Germany deserves a little bit of credit. But I thought the Hungary match, they were outplayed and were really fortunate from really bad refereeing decisions and over and over and over again. And that seems to be a theme so far for Germany, but I don't think that will continue for this entire time. With that said, I think hopefully my computer's not spazzing out as I've been really struggling with it lately. Apologies for that if so, but thank you all for joining. So we'll start with Switzerland that are 1-goal underdog right now to Germany. So fully a road game, but the Swiss are not too far away from Germany, obviously. So there still should be a pretty good presence. Germany's the only team I'm giving home field advantage. So I think Turkey would probably be second on the list, which is probably not what everyone's expecting. Total here is 2.5, which has fallen from the 2 3/4, is about what I made it. And it feels a little bit lower than it should be. And I actually have not seen the lineups yet. So let me get into it and I can explain what we're seeing as soon as this page loads. In terms of I guess to be fully transparent, my pre-tournament bets were Switzerland, I think to have under a certain amount of under 3.5 points. That is lost. Then the Germans under 6.5. That looks very dangerous, but a Swiss win would certainly be able to cash that. I also had Hungary to finish top 2. Basically, a lot of bets surrounding the Hungary side that I think is disappointed significantly, but are not dead yet. They could get a win today against Scotland. That'll be the second match that I come to on this episode. While I try to load lineups, I don't know if that'll ever occur on this computer. Maybe I'll do it on my phone instead nearby. I'll, I guess, address okay, here we go. As I say it, of course, it always shows up. So let's see, which side should I start with? I'll start with, I think the Germans are probably most interesting because they have 6 points and have already advanced. Switzerland look very safe to advance, but could win the group, and that's something to say, of course. So we have Neuer at goalkeeper, Jonathan Tah, Antonio Rudiger, probably the best center back combination that the Germans have had in a long time. At least in the qualifying campaign or the friendlies that they played up until this. Maximilian Mittelstadt has basically taken over that left back position. I think he's on a yellow card, so 2 yellow cards and you get suspended. Those are concerns, of course. Joshua Kimmich is really just a waste of a position, I feel like, right now. Andrich and Tony Cruz is one defender. 2 pretty good defenders, 1 creator, and Tony Cruz plus Andrich is great at outside the box goal scoring. Florian Wirtz, the best player on this team. Ilkay Gundogan in center midfield, and Musiala, the best creator, on the right, most likely for his own shot. And then Kai Havertz up top is not a striker that I rate. He's certainly can score goals, but I'm just not necessarily a believer. On the Swiss side, we finally see Breel Embolo start, who's been out of the team for a long time due to recovery from injury. That's a big deal. I like Don Andoy, good season at Bologna. Fabian Rieder is a good creative, I guess, midfielder. And then we got Sylvain Widmer, the captain of Mainz, Remo Freuler from Bologna, Granit Xhaka, who had the best season probably of his career for Leverkusen. And that's a really dominant center midfield. Abasher with a great goal scoring that he displayed in a victory over Hungary, getting that second goal to really clinch a big lead, and then still hung on, the Swiss did. But back three, Fabian Schär, Manuel, and Ricardo Rodriguez is about as good as you could expect. And I think the Swiss are going to make this a really tough game for the Germans. I've not really believed in the Germans so far. Nothing really has changed that. Lineups are very strong here, considering both these teams are in great position to move through to the next stage. But it's not guaranteed just yet. So then when I look at the number and I see Switzerland getting a full goal of insurance, I will be playing that. I also like the under 2.5 goals because I think that plays into a very tight matchup. A lot of times I feel like when the biggest clubs come together, or biggest countries come together, yes, they have incredible goal scoring, but there doesn't always seem to be a ton of goal mouth action because there's a lot of posturing and both teams are ultimately trying to score, and there's not one just defending the whole time. The question here is how much can Switzerland push forward? I'm not sure. But I think getting a full goal of insurance is too much. And I think that plays along. It's a correlated thing to go under and to play the underdog. And obviously you'll see that in a lot of my plays throughout this tournament. Moving to the next matchup, I will grab the spread as soon as my computer responds. So Scotland are pick'em. Juices 2 and 3, or excuse me, Juices very heavily on the Hungarian side, has been this whole time, and has been basically climbing and getting higher since I've been watching it. Total is 2 3/4. Just more to the over in terms of where that has moved. It looks like it's pretty much been getting the under's been getting bet. Let me see. Actually, no. So it started at 2 3/4 minus 102, climbed all the way to minus 118, and then so I guess some over money's been hitting. To make sure I'm reading my screen right. And the big question is, what are these teams going for? So Scotland on 1 point, Hungary on 0 points. Of course, there's 4 out of 6 third place finishers in this competition move through the next round. It's lame in my opinion, but c'est la vie. It is what it is, and that's all we can handicap. So Scotland, if they get a draw here, they're probably not going to go through. I think they need a win. Hungary definitely need a win. 1 point will not do it. So how is that going to all happen? That's a big question. I think we see probably two aggressive sides that are trying to score goals here, but at the same time, they're both trying to do that. And I think both really are built to play defensively and try to get one goal. I think whoever scores first, it's a big race to the first goal, but seeing more than that's going to be hard to expect. I think seeing 3 goals is very unlikely from two pretty limited offenses, so I'm pretty interested in under 2 3/4 in this one. In terms of lineups, since we have them, we'll start on the Scottish side. Angus Gunn, who I think is still in goal. He's been awful. It was horrible for Norwich City in their playoff to try to get back into the Premier League as well. Major demerits for him. Jack Hendry, Grant Hanley, Scott McKenna, decent names in the Scottish back line, but how much talent is there is a big question. Ralston, Gilmore, McGregor, and Robertson. Robertson is kind of alone in this team as clearly the best player, but then Scott McTominay in the middle is of course a big name, playing more of an attacking central midfield, and certainly scored a bunch of goals for Manchester United this season. Shea Adams, who you don't get much from, and John McGinn, who's playing a weird left wing position, but will certainly be playing a lot more defensively. Not a lot of changes to the Scotland side. I don't think really too much of a change besides the red card from the opener not being available, or at least not being chosen for this matchup. On the Hungarian side, we have Vargas starting, who scored a bunch of goals and was one of the big reasons why I thought Hungary would have a really good chance in this tournament. Dominic Soboslai is one of the best creators. Roland Sholoi, a great creator as well. And they have Kirkes on the left, Styles, Schaffer, Bola, and then Botka, Orban, and Dardai. Dardai, who came in to start on match day 2. Botka, I don't think we've seen much in this tournament, but not, I guess, a huge surprise that Hungary, after 2 losses, is making some changes. Gulashi in goal is a pretty stable guy back there. So I was hoping for Hungary to be underdogs in this matchup. Clearly that didn't happen. So I guess there's not much for me to do with that side here, as I don't really play pick'ems unless I really like something. And I feel like the Hungarians are just as likely to win this matchup. So maybe the pick 'em is reasonable. I do like under 2 3/4 though. So that'll be my interest in that matchup. I'll move now to the rest of the matches. We'll go to Monday, Albania and Spain. Albania 1 1/4 goal underdog with more juice. Over under 2 3/4 juice heavily to under. The biggest question is who's Spain going to play in this matchup? They've already won the group. Albania are fighting and need a win as they're only on. Actually, they have not because they lost to Italy, drew Croatia, so they need a win. That's going to be an awkward position for Albania, very defensively trying to move forward to score goals. I think my biggest interest here is probably in an under, but Spain are likely to dominate this game, and I feel like from how well they played against Italy, I'm very scared about fading Spain the rest of this tournament. Moving next to Croatia and Italy. Croatia, 1/4 goal underdog with almost all the juice. Over unders 2.5. Juice is split both ways. The Italians, they're in good shape. Croatia need a win. We'll see what happens in this one, but I feel like Croatia are deserved underdog. Italy, though, are more likely to push or to be accepting of a draw as that gets them to 4 points. Will probably push them through. Albania unlikely to get a win against Spain. So I think the Italians as a favorite is a little bit interesting because Croatia are going to be going for it, but I think we'll still play a defensive style, defensive brand. And I think that plays to underdog and under in this one. Moving to Tuesday, we have Netherlands, Austria. Netherlands, a 1/4 goal favorite with almost all the juice or all of it. Over unders 2.5. Juice split both ways. The Dutch are in good position if they match France's result to have a tiebreaker to win. Austria can win the group, or can they win the group? They did beat Poland, so I guess they could if there's a win French draw. I think the Austrians, I mean, as an underdog is interesting. They've been getting a ton of respect this tournament, played very well. I'm not sure I believe that they're as strong as a 1/4 goal underdog to Netherlands would suggest. Total of 2.5. I think I lean under on that one, just not expecting a ton of goals. Netherlands have played very defensively so far this tournament. Really haven't looked great and scored late to beat a bad Polish side. I think there's a lot of love for Austria that I'm not sure they deserve, though, fully. France and Poland. France, a 1.5 goal favorite with more juice. Over unders 3, juice very heavily to under. The Polish are already eliminated, but I would expect a pretty prideful performance, especially with Lewandowski maybe not playing because he was barely fit enough to feature in the second matchup that we did start. I feel like Poland are probably going to play to keep this as low scoring possible, not to get embarrassed before they exit. But there are some questions about how much they care and what that lineup looks like if they're maybe looking toward the future. The French have not looked great when they take a lead. They play defensively, so under 3, my biggest interest. I don't want to back Poland. In the nightcap in Deutschland, we'll have England, Slovenia. Slovenia 1 1/4 goal underdog. Almost all the juice on England right now. Over under 2.5. Juice a little bit more to under. I love Slovenia this whole tournament. They've been easy money on deserved money, maybe not easy, on side and totals for going under. So I've loved them so far. I think England, even if they win this match, it'll be a very low scoring match. So I like Slovenia and under there. Both could win the group, I believe. Slovenia, I guess, on 2 points could get to 5. If probably need some help in the other matchup. But I'm just looking to bet against England as a favorite as much as I can, especially more than a goal because they don't deserve it and they don't play the style that requires them to, or that leads them to winning by multiple goals. Denmark and Serbia. We have Denmark, a 1/4 goal favorite with almost all the juice. Over unders 2 3/4. She's all the way to under. Maybe we see this fall to 2.5. Danes looked really good against England despite giving up an awful first goal and then controlled the match. Really, I thought we're hanging on against Slovenia, but the Serbians with an incredible draw, clutched from the ashes of defeat at the end against Slovenia. They probably aren't within a 1/4 goal of Denmark. I think I'd probably be more interested in under 2 3/4 in this one than anything. And we'll get to the last set of matches, I guess, for Wednesday with Slovakia, Romania, Slovakia. Pick them right now with all the juice, and it keeps climbing. We'll probably see them climb to maybe a 1/4 goal favorite before this kicks off. I don't really see that Slovakia deserve that. Slovakia with an incredible collapse against Ukraine was really disappointing and awful for betting them at 1/4 goal underdog, taking a lead and under. Just total collapse. I think a lot because of a cowardly goalkeeper who's had big problems in European tournaments with shocking goals allowed in the last one in 2020 or played in 2021. As a favorite, I will be against Slovakia. Looking forward to that. Total here is 1 3/4. She's all the way to over -130 right now at BetOnline. I would expect this hits 2, and I'll be waiting for that 2 to play under. Ukraine and Belgium. Ukraine a 3/4 goal underdog right now. All the juice on Belgium right now. Over under is 2 3/4. Juiced slightly more to over. Ukraine, I've not been that impressed with. They had an awful debut against Romania. Kind of been pretty inconsistent through a lot of their play. Belgium I want to be against, but I think I want to get a full goal of insurance, and it looks like the number might get there, so I'll wait to see that. Total at 2 3/4. I'd lean under. I mean, this is probably a matchup with a lot of chances, but 2 3/4 goals is pretty high for this tournament, so I'm fairly interested there as well. And then the last stage before I get to the ultimate best bet, the nightcap on Wednesday, June 26th. We have Georgia, excuse me, it's played in Germany. Georgia, a 1.5 goal underdog with all the juice right now. Over under is 3. Slightly juiced to over against Portugal. Portugal have already clinched the group. They have won both their matches. I thought the first match was not deserved. Very fortunate. Second one got a goal and then got a huge gift from Turkey, and then did a good job, I guess, of keeping a clean sheet. The Georgians are going to play very defensively and sit in to try to then puncture, counter, all those sort of things. They held on for dear life against Czechia, and that's not a great sign against the Portuguese side, but I think Portugal will be rotating. I'm not sure we see a ton of Ronaldo in this matchup, which might be better for their offense, actually. But under 3 is probably my biggest interest. I do like the idea that Georgia play very conservatively, need a win. Worries me about sending their goalkeeper up, and that might end up killing them in goal differential and keep them out of the second round because they're idiots. Just a really dumb choice by their manager in the opener to send a goalkeeper forward to try to get an equalizer, instead concede and go -2 goal differential instead of -1. But that's what I guess sort of sometimes happens with a brand new manager and a team debuting in this competition. Last but not least is Czech Republic and Turkey, currently a pick'em. Czechs with all the juice right now, hopefully climbing to a quarter goal favor. I'll be waiting for that as well. Total is 2.5 on that match, juice all the way to over. So we're expecting goals, but the Czechs are gonna be very defensive. I think Turkey, they scored 2 incredible goals in their win against Georgia in the opener, and they got an empty netter. I don't think we're gonna see a lot of goals in that matchup either. So that's kind of surprising to me. I don't really expect there to be that many goals, and I feel like the Czechs really shouldn't be favored against a Turkish side. That there's so many Turks in Germany from when I visited that. Not only is the doner kebab really awesome, but I feel like that's going to be a huge advantage for Turkey, and I really like that side as well. So probably shouldn't surprise any of you who've been following around this whole tournament. It's been a good tournament so far, much better match day 2 than match day 1. I like a lot of dogs and a lot of unders. And then I think for an ultimate best bet, I'm going to have to come to that and start recording right now as we're 15 minutes from kickoff time in Germany for this start of match day 3. Hopefully you all liked the live version with lineups in front of me. If you did, please leave a comment or a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. If you don't leave a 5-star review, it's not worth it. Don't even go there, but I'll take a 5 if you got it. And subscribe on YouTube. Of course, this will be put up on Instagram and on YouTube Shorts for the 1-minute version, as that's the maximum for my ultimate best bet. So you can grade me on this whole thing. I'm 1-1 so far on ultimate best bets. The Romanians were not able to cover the spread, that they had a penalty that should have been given. Incredible that the refereeing just continues to get worse and worse despite video assistant refereeing. It was really obvious about the Germans and how well they were treated, but also the Belgians too, 2 big favorites in Euro 2024, getting completely inexplicable help from refereeing, and that's just really, really poor and really disappointing. But I guess it's something that we will have to get used to, and something we'll see more and more and more. In terms of other podcasts that are coming out, we're doing a Sunday night podcast, maybe baseball for pregame with Munaf Manji. Sorry, Munaf, if you're listening. And then we'll coming out with a Tuesday episode for Major League Baseball out in the Betting the Pitch podcast network, where all the other podcasts are found with @ABrooksBets. So look forward to us on that next one. I think we're 6-0 last 6. Just trying to keep that hot streak going. So I guess it's time for the ultimate best bet. So let's get into it. Hey, this is real_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. This is the ultimate best bet for match day 3 of Euro 2024. I'm 1-1 so far. My best bets should be 2-0, but took a really tough beat on Romania on Saturday. So this is for all of match day 3. I went through entirety in 30 minutes or so about permutations, about who's trying to get through in this last final match day. And of course, this is the ultimate best bet where I pick one of my favorite bets for this entire version, and then I will tell you exactly who's going to win, and you can go bet it. If you're not a member by Patreon, check it out. Patreon.com/a_real_G Warner. Best spot to get all my plays, leans, write-ups, everything across all baseball, soccer, every tournament that's going on. We got football stuff coming out, American version down the line as well. But it's time for the ultimate best bet. And if you're not subscribed, leave a 5-star review, do those all sort of things that I've been instructing forever on my Twitter, podcast, everything. For my best bet, I'll go with Slovenia, 1.25 goal underdog to England. I just don't believe England's going to close out any match in a lopsided fashion. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. I will see you all very, very soon. And leave a 5-star review. It's huge for the search rankings.